Well, we're going to start the show now. Could you just do me a favor for a second, though? Could you just move like a couple of feet away from me? I feel like you're crowding me. Just move away a little bit. I have my own personal space. My definition of personal space is no one should come within 3 miles of me, but that might be a bit extreme to most. But you need to get out of my personal. Just move. Could you just sit over there? No, further. A little bit further. No, a little bit further. Much further. Much further. So I can't see you. That's how far.
On the air everywhere, this is New England Broadcasting.
Right up on me.
Welcome to the Ron Van Dam Show. Hold on tight. Things can get a bit weird, if you like that sort of thing.
You stay over there and I'll stay over here.
Whatever.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It's the Ron Van Dam Show.
Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whatever your liquid libation may be in the morning, and join us as we take a look at the world around us. As much as it's a pleasure to be with you, the pleasure is actually all yours. And now, here's your host, Ron Van Dam.
Thank you, Julie. Welcome to the program. Well, anyway. Later on today, I have to bring my car to the dealership where I am leasing my car from. I lease my car. I don't want to own it. I don't want to own that thing. But I love driving it, but I lease it, which means it has no value to me whatsoever. Gets me from place to place. It looks nice. Let's call it a day. That's what leasing is. So as a result, I get free oil changes. Now, that's not so bad because an oil change nowadays can cost between $30 and $50. That's a lot of money to change a diaper. Yeah, to me, an oil change is like changing a kid's diaper. Instead of using a diaper, you use an oil pan. I think it's the same thing. And, of course, they check over my car to make sure everything's running well. They'll vacuum the floor of my car. That's their concession. We'll charge you all this money, but it's not so bad because I'll vacuum the floor of your car. Well, I didn't know you were going to do that. If you're going to vacuum the floor of my car, my God, that's worth like $100 in itself. Is that detailing? No, I don't think it is. I think you're just vacuuming the floor of my car, but thank you. They also do a free wash. They wash the car. Now, that's worth some money. That's not a bad deal because a good car wash is like $15. So that's a good deal. So I bring it down to the dealership. That's about the only thing I would do at the dealership because I don't trust dealerships. I don't really trust anybody. I don't trust a server at the House of Pancakes. That's how much I don't trust people. So I guess this is just a mute conversation. But I'm very excited for my car. It's going to get its oil changed. Yeah, you're going to be fresh. You're going to have a brand new oil. Not gunky, sludgy kind of stuff. Brand new clear oil for you. Nothing better for my car than a good fresh change of oil. My car should be so happy. My car has had, it's like it's had a poop in its pants for 3 months now. And the oil change will take the poop out of the pants. It's the same thing. To me, everything is like having a kid. Life is like having a kid. You suffer, and then toward the end, you try to detach. That's what life is. This is incredible. The analogies that come out of my mouth A lot of things come out of my mouth that you don't want to talk about. All right. My guest later on in the show is M.E. Sims. Not Emmy, like you won an Emmy. The initials M and E. M.E. Sims. You can tell that's a real author because they're not using a first name, just initials. That's big stuff. That is big stuff. When somebody goes by initials, either they're the president of a company or an author. Big stuff. It's big stuff. She's going to join us later. She's written a book called A Little Bit of Pleasure. Now, that's not about eating candy. No, it's about sex. Ron, you going to do another sex show? Not really. But it's about pleasing your partner. In many cases, pleasing your partner is going away for the week and leaving them alone. Not going away for the week together. Just say, I'm going away, I'm going to leave you alone for a week. Thank you, finally some pleasure. But it's about giving someone else sexual pleasure and enjoying a good, healthy relationship as both parties pleasure each other. I know, I get it. I don't know if kids should be listening to this. I don't think it's going to be horrible. So I don't know. It's your decision, whatever. Whatever. I was watching the news this weekend because I have to. Because of what I do. I've been doing this radio thing for 30 years. Ron, stop telling me that. Why? Dr. Phil does it on every one of his shows. You know, I trained for 30 years. I've been a forensic psychologist. I don't know what that means, but he keeps saying it. And by the way, I have the most popular daytime television show ever. More people watch my show than anything else. Oh, okay. You're a psychologist, and yet it looks like you're starting to develop some very odd personality quirks, Dr. Phil. Like your ego is starting to go crazy. Anyway, so I've been doing this for 30 years, and as a result, I have to listen to the news. I have to know what's going on. Otherwise, I'm as stupid as you are. So I'm watching the news, and everybody's talking about Russian meddling. Of course, the President of the United States says there was no meddling. That's all a big hoax. Everybody else, all his agencies, everybody says, yeah, there was meddling. So, I mean, who's in denial there? I mean, God. Anyway, I won't get into that today. But the term meddling just bothers me. This is far more serious than the word meddling connotates. Meddling would be like your mother-in-law getting involved in your marital problems. That's meddling. Bobby, you married a bitch, let's face it. You married, can't you get rid of her and get a nice woman for yourself, one that cares for you like me, your mother? Stop meddling, Mom. Stop meddling in my relationships and in my marriage. That's meddling. Trying to influence an election and using tactics of spies and hacking, that's more than meddling. If your mother-in-law starts putting poison in your wife's food to kill her, that's more than meddling. That's the enemy attacking you. The United States was under attack by Russia in order to influence the election, and hopefully more than influence, they wanted Trump to get in. Now you got what you want. You got your little puppet. But why stop there? It worked really well. But that's not meddling. That's more than meddling. It's not like the Russians said, look, why don't you vote for Trump? What's the problem with you? That would be meddling. This was more than meddling. Stop with that term. That term bothers me. God. I don't know. It's weird to me that Congress is not calling up Donald Trump on the phone and saying, Don, a week ago, you had a meeting with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki for 2 hours with the door closed. Nobody was in there but the two of you. And you haven't said really any specifics about what you talked about at all to the American people. Don, the American people are your employers. And yet you have a 2-hour meeting with Putin that's apparently incredible, and you haven't mentioned what you talked about at all. What the hell's going on? I know what's going on. They were colluding. They were colluding and meddling. If I were Congress representing the people, which is you and me, I would say, Don, you are to appear before Congress and tell us what the hell you talked about. Not that we'd believe a word you said. You'd be lying about it from beginning to end. But I think you should understand that when you have a private meeting with a world leader, which is like our largest enemy, probably, you should probably tell people what you talked about. You should probably do that. It might be a good idea what you were saying, especially when you go to Helsinki and in front of a press conference, you throw the United States under the bus. It was a pleasure meeting Vladimir Putin. This is the president talking. I can't do a good impression of him. It's a pleasure meeting Vladimir Putin. Very strongly denied meddling, and so I believe him. Wonderful, wonderful man. Somehow has some great control over his country. They do everything he says. I wish it happened here in this country. Wish I could get rid of Congress. This is what he would probably say. Trump would probably say to himself, I'd make a great dictator. And that's what I'm going for. The American people are going, okay. God, what's wrong with us? Or you? Don, what did you talk about for 2 hours? I don't know. I just know there was no meddling. There was no meddling. There was no chicken soup involved. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I know. You know who Confucius is? Confucius apparently said things all the time. And whenever Confucius said something, it became a saying. And he must have been annoying at a point. If he's spouting out these prophecies and these sayings of wisdom, at a point, people around him must have said, Confucius, will you shut up? What makes you think everything you say is so damn important? Confucius say, life is but a song. Wow. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but apparently, because you're Confucius, I think it's more confusing than Confucius. Confucius, I think, wrote every phrase that's in a fortune cookie. I don't know it for a fact, but it seems like it. That can get annoying at a point. Can you imagine your spouse walking around saying, rain is like time falling on your head. What are you talking about? And shut up. I don't know which is worse, tweeting or walking around saying things all the time that people considered to be amazing. Confucius wasn't amazing. He's like Trump. He was just rattling off crap and people bought it. That's all Confucius was. Confucius say, sun is the center of the universe. Wow. How'd you put that one together? First of all, it's not the center of the universe. It's the center of our solar system. But secondly, you've been quoted. Confucius say, I'm going to the store now. What does that mean? That must mean something. Is that a clue? Is that a clue to humanity? Confucius say, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Yes, life is like that. You get tired of it and you go to bed permanently. That's a life and death comment, Confucius. You're incredible. Confucius brush his teeth now. What does that mean to me? What does that mean to me? What message is hidden in that brushing my teeth now comment? Confucius is incredible. No, Confucius is confusing and annoying is what he is. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a Buddhist, but everybody wants to be one because Buddhism is kind of the religion of peace, I believe. I think people who look at religion on a very surface thing say, oh my God, that's like a nice religion. They're just like peaceful. And the Buddha is a fat person sitting on my mantle. I mean, how satisfying is that? How satisfying is that? Buddha apparently was a bit overweight, a happy fat man. Who doesn't love that? What a great religion that is. It's the opposite of the Christ thing. Christ was very skinny. Buddha, chunky man. Who looked happier? Buddha. I know. I mean, I don't pick my religions based on weight, but there's something to be said for that analogy. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, very, very soon, M.E. Sims is going to join us to talk about sex and about satisfying your partner. And I can't think of a better program on which she should do that.
You are listening to The Ron Van Dam Show, the podcast world's version of painful itching and swelling. You know they sell a cream for that, right? It's over the counter. Works really well. I've had to use it a lot.
Good morning, Ron.
Hi, Emmy. How are you?
I'm doing great.
You sound like you're doing great there. Emmy Sims joins us now. A little bit of pleasure. I could use that, certainly. It's a great book.
Everybody can.
Of course they can. It's just what the doctor ordered, as you say. We're talking about romance and relationships, and you're an expert in this field, I understand.
Kind of. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been doing it for over 40 years.
Oh, well, that's an expert to me. Doing anything more than 10 minutes is an expert to me. So that's pretty good. This is under the category of intimacy mentoring. What exactly is that?
Well, I mentor based on my experience, my strength, and how I have come out of several bad marriages, how the tools that I used, I give them the tools to help them.
Okay.
The difference between a therapist versus a mentor, a therapist spends a lot of money on education and a lot of books, but they don't share their experience.
I see.
And that's the difference for me.
So it's information by example.
Exactly.
All right, interesting. Yeah, that's more effective because when someone tells you their experiences, then you know that it worked or it didn't work or something like that.
Absolutely, it's like sharing a recipe.
Yeah. It is like sharing a recipe. See, you're talking about something that people do not talk about, and that's always an interesting thing because intimacy and romance should be in relationships, but yet we don't discuss this with our friends. We don't discuss it, certainly not with our parents. Oh my God. And not even with your partner most of the time. So it's a very interesting phenomenon.
It is so filled with shame and guilt and dread and hell. It stymies, especially women. Much more so than men.
Really? Okay.
Yes, much so more. Men can scratch themselves at any time during the day. It doesn't matter where or who.
Okay.
If a woman did that, the heavens would part.
It's a different thing. Yeah, but not
It's
to
just
say that
not acceptable.
But not to say that men scratching themselves is acceptable either, as far as I'm concerned. It's just something that they get away with.
They do, and I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying that even though the rules are all the same, they're interpreted differently for different people. And I'm not saying the rules are bad.
Yeah.
But the way we internalize things and the way our mothers, primarily our mothers,
Yes.
I wasn't allowed to wear anything but cotton tennies underwear because I would be a bad person. I wasn't allowed to wear hoop earrings because that made you a whore.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, times have
my
definitely
mother
changed.
had,
Yeah.
well, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't think we're far from it.
No, let me ask you two questions, Emmy. First of all, when we go to the movies, in every single movie, whether it's a comedy, espionage, drama, no matter what, somebody goes to bed with somebody, and there is a romantic sexual scene. And I think for many of us, we expect that in life that happens all the time. When you meet somebody or something clicks, and and if that doesn't happen to you in your life, these romantic scenes that come out of nowhere, then there's something wrong with you. Do you find that to be the case?
That is absolutely the case. There was a show on TV, a doctor show, and of course they've been Googling it over the surgical table, and then they got into the locker room, and he threw her up against the locker, and I thought, well, she'll never walk again, because he just put that thing in the middle of her back, and we do. It's no different than father knows best. We try to, that's how family should be.
Right.
2 point, you know what I mean? And we do that, and it's not real.
Good.
But the thing that I would like to impart with you is that adult films, toys, negligees, lubes, all of those things. It's a $15 billion industry a year in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Somebody's buying it, and somebody's
buying it.
watching it, but we can't talk about it.
Yeah. And how do you, I mean, and then there was the movie 50 Shades of Grey and the sequels that made it not necessarily acceptable, but to point it out that you can have some wild experiences and fantasies and have fun with it. How do you know if somebody else? How do you know if somebody else is into it until you embarrass yourself by asking them?
Conversation, communication, even with your longtime husband or wife.
Yeah.
I find that most men want to please their women.
Sure.
That women are too embarrassed or they're scared.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid he'll get mad.
Yes.
They're afraid they'll hurt his feelings.
Yes.
But you can have some of that kind of sex if you're adventurous. The books were much better than the movies, though, to tell you the truth.
Okay. It's good to know.
And the books, Ron, changed women's lives because it excited their mind, which is their biggest sex organ.
Yeah.
And gave them permission to try something different.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a whole nother life if you engage in that. And there are other marriages and relationships, girlfriend, boyfriend, where all the excitement seems to go away after a fashion because of the longevity of the relationship. And I guess that's something that you hear about a lot, is that the magic is starting to decrease. How do I get the magic back if it's not there?
You have to, I think, a couple have to make a decision that our relationship is more important than school, soccer, children, parents. And they have to do a little work. Any relationship, whether it be friendship or any relationship.
Yeah.
It takes effort and time and education. You don't learn something new without doing a little study, a little research. And it doesn't take a lot to get those juices flowing again. This takes a little bit of time. I always recommend date night and make it, and you can't talk about kids or work.
Yeah.
We have to cultivate a different conversation with the person that we spend our
You're
or nights
absolutely
and
right.
days with.
You're absolutely right. I could talk to you for hours, but I'm not allowed to by law, so I can't do that. But there is a book.
Wow.
It's a little bit of pleasure,
Oh, yes, thank you.
and it's available everywhere.
And your audience
Yeah.
on Amazon primarily, and they can reach me on a littlebitofpleasure.com. They can send me an email at Emmy at a little bit of pleasure. If they want to talk to me or want some mentoring, we can exchange through emails a telephone number so they can reach and talk to me. I am available. I am reachable, and it'd be my pleasure.
That sounds
to
great.
help anyone have a better sex life.
You know what your book also does, which I may recommend, is that if one buys the book and just leaves it on a table somewhere in their house or their apartment, your partner might just say, "Oh, what are they doing with this book?" Or they may open it up and start looking at it, and that may actually break the ice for more of an interesting, intriguing relationship simply by having the book in the room. I think it's a great icebreaker.
You're right, and I did a brochure last year, sent it to a therapist and psychiatrist, suggesting that they recommend my book so their clients could talk to them.
That's right.
Because
That's right.
I've had 7 therapists tell me that it did help.
Yeah,
It does help.
it does. And the title kind of brings you right to where you're supposed to go. A little bit of pleasure, we could all use it. A little bit. No, it's not overboard, but a little bit. It opens the door for more pleasure.
Then you get a little more.
That's right. It's a door opening is what we're talking about. Emmy Sims, a little bit of pleasure.com. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Pleasure.
And my name is spelt with 2 capital letters, not
Yes.
E-M-M-Y.
Right. Yeah, capital M, capital E. Sims, a little bit of pleasure is what you're looking for, though, literally. Thank you so much for your time today. It has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. You have a great day.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was fascinating. I'm a little bit horny, too. Yeah. Well, a little bit. Not a lot. Anyway, there you have it. We'll be back with more program after a short commercial break. I guarantee it won't take very long.
Ain't always easy these days to know what to give your kids for snacks. Sugary this, high fructosey that. Heck, even the stuff they call natural ain't always natural. But there's one snack when your kids ask for it, you know exactly what you're giving them.
I want piggy parts. I want piggy parts.
Professor Parker's preserved piggy parts are 100% all-natural salt-preserved pig parts. What parts, you ask? Well, some folks would call them scraps or ears or hoofs, but kids just call them delicious. And with their stiff, leathery texture, one Professor Parker's preserved piggy part will last a kid all afternoon. That's what we call value. So stock up now for school. You'll find them at the end of the pet food aisle in original, barbecue, or vinegar, garlic, teriyaki, onion, habanero, pineapple flavor. Give them a try and you'll see why kids say,
That's some good piggies.
Professor Parker's preserved piggy parts.
I went to a restaurant nearby called the Stone Forge Grill. Very, very nice place, and I go there frequently because it's a nice place and the food is excellent. They have a bar appetizer menu. So when you sit at the bar, you can have these little bar foods, and they're available only at the bar, just like the alcohol, only at the bar. Actually, you can get alcohol at the table. I'm sorry, I take that back. I'm going to walk that back, Trump. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the bar menu, and one of the items just kind of floors me, and it is a roasted garlic ball. And I immediately had to respond to that. I called the bartender over, and I said, "Excuse me, this roasted garlic ball, what is that?" She said, "Well, we take a bulb of garlic, and we roast it, and with olive oil, and then you put it on a plate, and we'll give you a piece of bread, and you can go to town." I said, "Well, does anybody who orders this, do you feel they have a social life afterwards?" And she laughed. She kind of got it. I think she, in her mind, was thinking the same thing, but could never expound upon it because she works there. A lot of people love garlic. And that's wonderful. Vampires apparently don't. I don't, and I'm not even a vampire, and I don't suck blood. I suck, but I don't suck blood. But I can't do the garlic for two reasons. One is because socially, it's a death warrant. I mean, who would come near you when you stink like that? When you have garlic, that's not on your breath. That's coming out of your pores. There's actually vapor that comes out of your feet. That's garlic vapor. It just like penetrates you. Nobody would ever want to come near you after eating a roasted garlic bulb. Number two, concentrated garlic can be quite acidic and quite demanding upon your esophagus. For me, it leaves a taste in my mouth like I'm in a desert and there's no water available, which is sometimes the property of a desert. I can't talk. I have no reason to talk anymore. Actually, we're going to end the show now. But I was just floored by that entry on a menu. Just like it just it's not garlic mashed potatoes. It's just a freaking bulb of garlic. I mean, wow, that's extreme. That's an extreme sport. That's not good. Anyway, some of you probably said, "Ron, this sounds very tasty. Where is this restaurant?" Oh, okay. All right, fine. All right, I get it now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to step to the side. Obviously, during the last little thing about garlic, I was just tripping over words, and that means I'm extremely tired. I've been awake now for 2 hours, and that, for me, is a long day. So, under those circumstances, this is probably going to do it for me today. But I will be back tomorrow with a brand new show, which means I'll be saying different words that I can't probably get through. So that'll be fun. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Stay healthy. I like a healthy audience listener because it's better for me, and that's really all I care about. So, Confucius say, as you go through life, be careful, keep your head forward, don't look back, and I wish you peace.